Okay, here's a little self-help video, doing it one-handed. We often get people on Scalextric, Carrera, Ninko, Polycar, all Scal Auto, all tracks, where they have problems with amperage drop, and that's caused by loose connections. And yes, power taps help, but really, and I use this analogy, maybe it's a good one, if I was to break my leg, I wouldn't just buy a pair of crutches. I would get my leg fixed and then I'd buy a pair of crutches to let it heal. So if you're going to put power taps, don't just put power taps, because if there's a bad connection, you're just hiding it. What you need to do is first fix the track so you can drive a car slowly all the way around without it hesitating. Then add power taps for extra strength of your circuit. And what causes the problem? Well, electricity acts like a ring main. So if you've got a circuit, let's for simplicity say it's an oval, the power will go all the way around both ways from your power base. So if you've got one bad connection on each rail, you'll still be able to drive. If you've got two bad connections, you'll have a dead piece of track. But if you've got one bad connection, the current flowing reversed around your circuit will complete the connection. So what you do first is you build your track, and then you leave the last connection back to your power base, or however you're bringing power to your track, open. And so then if you left this open and drove your car around, the current can't flow backwards around the rest of your circuit. It can only flow forwards in the direction you're going. So if you've got one bad connection then, anywhere here, so let's say this connection was bad, the car will stop. But if you had a complete ring main or complete oval, or a road course is in effect an oval with wiggles on left and right, etc., etc. If you've got a complete circuit, it will hide where your problems are. So with only power coming in from one place to your circuit, and the track not joining all the way up, leaving the back end of the circuit open, you will find every single bad connection. And that doesn't mean necessarily they'll stop. Although I don't race with magnets, using a heavy magnet car is a good way of testing it, because they'll draw more amperage. If the car stumbles or slows down, check the connections on each lane. You're going to have to do every lane. If it's a 2-lane, you're going to have to do both sides, so this side and this side, one at a time. If it's an 8-lane track, you've got 16 connections. But check one connection at a time and then move on around your circuit. And what you're going to find is you've got loose rails. These rails here are crimped. You see that folded piece of metal there? That's a crimp. And you can see on this, it's not really crimped down properly, it's loosely crimped. And so what that allows is it allows this piece of metal to raise up. Especially for magnet racing, you'll really notice it, because the magnets are strong enough, they'll lift the rail up. When they lift the rail up, you lose this connection between this and this, because as this rail rises, it disconnects. So you've got to fix that loose connection first. So what we're going to do, on a flat hard surface and with a flat bladed screwdriver, I can't do this because I need two hands, one for my camera, but I would push down on the track, firmly on the track, on a flat hard surface. Get my screwdriver that's rolled away, and that embeds the metal rails into the plastic road bed. And then while I'm pressing down, I then get a screwdriver and I press down on that. If you see that bend, and I'm pressing down on that, that will tighten that crimp. I'll do it on the other end. If you watch here, see it bend? I'm going to do it twice. And that has tightened that. I'll do it over here again. Watch, you'll see it bend. There, see it bend? That tightened it up. You can do this on Scalextric track, you can do it on Carrera track. You can pretty much do it on all tracks where the rails are crimped into the road bed. The only way you wouldn't be able to do it is if they were moulded in. But if that crimp is loose, the rail is going to lift up and you're going to lose your connection. So I've done it on there, I've done it on here. Now I'm not pressing down, which I should, but I can't do that and video it. So that gets your channel now tight, both sides. And then plug in your 2 pieces of track. Difficult to do here, one-handed. 2 pieces of track, and drive on. And then once you've gone all the way around, have your last piece disconnected, you've now got a good circuit. Connect your last piece, you'll be amazed how much quicker your track is. Then you can add power taps, but don't do the power taps without doing what I've just showed you. Every connection should be crimped tight. See, this one here is not tight, so there's the potential of a bad connection. This one here. One thing though, and I try to tell you things that I did wrong. I learned by my mistakes. I'm not a genius, far from it. In fact, my wife says we're a long way from it. But I've been doing this for 60 odd years, and connections are the bane of this hobby. If you have bad connections, you don't get good flow. I'm talking about current, not people, but even with people, if you've got bad connections, you don't get good flow. So with crimping those rails. Now, one other thing is, when you're taking this track apart, try to only do it on a flat surface. Don't resist lifting the track up, because you put stress on these crimps again and you loosen them. Especially on Scalectric Sport Track, you'll find that it's so soft, the mild steel. These are better because these are stainless steel. But the mild steel rails, if you put any deviation which arches the track, you know, bends this up and this up, it will move those crimps away again. You want the crimps to all be tight. Ideally, you're going to do every piece of track, but at least do the ones that are giving you a problem. I tend to do every piece with what I've just showed you. One last piece of advice: do not make this mistake. See this one crimped here? Don't try to do anything with that, because you'll force it into this, and guess what that is? That's the slot. So it breaks through into the slot, and then you'll have a piece of metal sticking into your slot. Just do the one on the other side. That's enough to get that rail tight. You can do it a couple of places, and there you go. That is how you fix bad connections. If those rails are loose, or if they're not sunken tight into the roadbed, they won't touch. Because what has to happen, the male tip has to touch, the male tip here has to touch the underside of the female tip, or female cavity on the rail, to get a good connection. The other thing, if you're building permanent or semi-permanent tracks, go to a marine store and buy yourself some conductive grease that is used for connections in boats, where they're often in salt water, which is really you know, an environment that's very harsh on the electrical connections. And then you just thin amount on each male tip and then plug them in, and your track will run for years without any problems. But if you leave these connections dry, there is going to be oxidization, and that is going to cause problems. Okay, this is a long enough video just to show you how to make 2 connections good. Almost 8.5 minutes, but I'll post it, and hopefully it helps. Next time I'll try and do a video with 2 hands with a stand for my camera phone, but I just wanted to do this to help a friend out who's struggling with it, and I think this will help him. So just remember, just to quantify it, this crimp here, the one next to the slot, do not try shorting or bending this one over, distorting this one. Only do the one on this side, pressing down firmly on the roadbed while you're doing it to embed the rails up into the plastic roadbed, so as they're into the plastic roadbed. Because otherwise, if they're loose, they're going to move up and down, you're going to get bad connections. Leave the last connection to where your power comes in open until you've proven you can drive all the way around your circuit and back to the last connection without stumbling. Using a magnet car is ideal because it draws more amperage. Go slowly around. The car shouldn't stumble. It should drive all the way around. If every connection is tight, and ideally with that conductive grease on the tips as well, the car should go round. I build 50, 60 foot 4-lane tracks with no power taps, and with track that's been taken apart hundreds of times. And as long as I've got tight connections, the power will flow. I have at times had to slightly misform this piece of the rail to push down hard on the male tip. I don't like doing it, but that's a quick way of doing it, but make sure the rail is tight in the road bed, because that is what is going to give you the problems. Now we're at 10 minutes. I'm going to let you go. This is Alan from 132 Slot Car, aka Scale Racing. Keep it in the slot.